Hello everyone and welcome to episode 26 of the SATO Briefing series. Today, we're not in P3D, we're in Microsoft 2024. And with the new sim, I just kind of wanted to give everyone a brief overview of kind of where SATO is heading with this sim, what comes with the sim in terms of firefighting related aircraft, what type of challenges, hurdles, or shortcomings there are so far in the sim, and things like that. So, kind of getting into the entire firefighting related theme of portions of the game. Right now, firefighting is only available in career mode. Now, there's been some talks with the SOBO saying that they might move it outside of career mode. That remains to be seen if they'll actually do it or not. The other thing is, in terms of kind of an annoyance of mine, is the fact that the Sky Crane, as you see in front of me here, there is no firefighting capabilities with this at all. So if you look in the screenshot here, I'll post on the screen. Most people have seen this preview already, but you see that the pond snorkel is down, and there's firefighting in a firefighting type mission. There's no firefighting missions at all for this helicopter either. So there leaves some controversy in that terms of people have been trying to talk to Blackbird, who makes the Sky Crane, formerly Milviz, if you weren't familiar, that made the Sky Crane for FSX and P3D. They said that Asobo is the ones that will add that capability to the helicopter. So whether or not that actually happens, or when that happens, hopefully, it's not in the sim yet. So right now, currently, the pond snorkel and the ram snorkel, like you see on this side of the helicopter, are not functional at all. And there's no missions for you to fly firefighting missions at all with it. So now I haven't gotten into career mode far enough at all yet to know what other helicopters you can do firefighting missions with yet. But I do know that there is the CH-47 is in here, the Chinook, with firefighting liveries on it from Columbia, Billings Flying Service, and I think a few others. Then there's the AS-350 from Eurocopter is in here. I think I said the Super Puma already, and I think there might be a few others that you can do maybe firefighting on. I'm not 100% sure yet on what all the helicopter stuff you can do in terms of firefighting. Right now, it all seems like what I've seen on the internet is search and rescue and heavy lift operations, so nothing firefighter related yet. And I say yet, hopefully, we can take a lot of this with a grain of salt, at least right now, because the sim's only been out for a couple of months. So we're hoping that, in a later update, we get more firefighting missions for rotary wing aircraft, and maybe even other aircraft. And I get into saying more aircraft because right now there's only 3 fixed-wing aircraft that you can use in firefighting operations, and 2 of those are scoopers. The CL-415 and the air tractor AT-802 and those are the only 2 fixed-wing, like smaller air tankers that you can use in firefighting missions. The other one is the VLAT, the 747 Global Supertanker. So that's kind of an annoyance of mine. They have no interim type of land-based tankers at all. So it's like merely focused on scooping, which granted is an important part of firefighting, but largely that's a very small part of it. So granted, those 2 aircraft you can, ground load somewhere, but you don't have any intermediate size, large or even large air tankers. So that's kind of an annoyance that I have for that. So granted, I mean, you can't really complain a whole lot because at least we have it built into the game, but that's kind of one of those things where you're just kind of along for the ride, so to speak, until they figure it out. So at least right now anyway. So with things like that, the sim itself is I mean, as you can see here, we can walk around the helicopter, and we can see the level of detail there is in this, which coming from P3D is, even with the settings cranked up, you don't get anywhere near this type of detail and whatnot. If you've been in 2020, you're kind of used to it already, but someone making the jump from P3D to this is similar to people making the jump from FSX to, P3D version 5, probably. So, hopefully we get more firefighting related stuff and missions for these. The rotary wing stuff, the sky crane not being functional really in firefighting is kind of an annoyance to me because it's my favorite firefighting helicopter. But the other big thing is when I'm going to talk about development related stuff. We are developing the S2 for 2024 from Jeremy. Jeremy's doing that, and but in terms of like the freeware stuff, I don't plan on doing anything for quite a while now because currently we don't have access at all to any of the base files in this sim at all. So in 2020, apparently through the community files and some of the other files, you could have access to the base aircraft. In 2024, you don't have access to any of it. No textures, no base aircraft files, nothing. You don't know, you can't make your own textures, you can't look at the models, nothing. It's all streamed from the Microsoft Cloud. So that presents a huge problem for people like me or third-party developers that are trying to make stuff for this sim, because we have no access to anything. And the way it looks, any types of files to add or mess with, you can't. Because not only are all of the files not available to you, they're also encrypted, which means they're protected. You can't mess with them. So apparently through some forum digging that I've been looking at is that there might have been an oops on Asobo for doing that, and then there's been some back and forth saying that Asobo planned on doing this. They don't want to give access to any of the aircraft until later on down the road when it's more complete. There's some back and forth going on whether it was on purpose or not. But the general consensus is that a lot of people in the community were irritated in the fact that there's zero access to any of the base aircraft at all. So without that access, it kind of undercuts a lot of the ability for modders like myself or third-party developers to even do anything with the sim, because we don't know what any of the files look like or how they're put together or anything. You don't even have access to aircraft files at all. So hopefully they fix that, because if you take that ability away from everybody, how are we supposed to make things for the sim? Whether it's people that like to fiddle with stuff like me, just doing small modifications and liveries. Even you can't even do your own liveries for these either. So hopefully they fix that and give us access to them. Hopefully in an update later on down the road, because otherwise, people like me that do mods and stuff like that, we're kind of sunk. There's no way to do anything. So in terms of that aspect, that puts a huge stop on any type of development ideas for 2024 from us. And third-party developers, they might have a way around it, if they're used with 2020 at all. But from somebody like me and maybe some of these other people, we have no access to the files at all to do anything. So that leads me to also me still having only had the sim for about a week or so. I have to get used to the sim itself, and the SDK and stuff like that, but that's all stuff that I would have to do. Like I said, we still have no access to those base aircraft files at all. So that's kind of one of those things where I'm hesitant. I'm like, they better fix that, because that's a huge deal, because that's what made sims like FSX so popular, is the ability for the community to modify stuff and tweak stuff in a sim. So, and I think that's what also helped save 2020, because everybody had access to those files, and you could create mods, and even firefighting mods for that sim were fantastic. So hopefully they don't revert and do something stupid and not allow anybody to do any of that, because then you are basically going to anger the community so tremendously. I don't know if the sim would survive without access to that type of stuff, and it takes away that huge part of what makes this community so great, and not having the ability to modify stuff in the sim. So hopefully they figure that out, and it seems like they're on track with that. They seem to have acknowledged it at least. But what they do with that is another thing altogether, obviously. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is subject to change because it's so new, but I'm hoping that they don't choke and, a lot of this stuff gets fixed. There are some bugs and stuff like that in the sim, but it's a launch bug. Like I said, the sim's only been out for a couple of months, so I would preface again by saying that a lot of the stuff that I'm saying in this video will hopefully change. It's just early on. These are some of the bugs we're looking at, some of the things that we have, some of the shortcomings in the stuff that we have so far. But overall, from what I've been able to fly, it's spectacular. The scenery, the way that everything is in this sim is just leaps and bounds ahead of anything in P3D. And then obviously if you're coming from FSX or something like that, I mean, this sim is just so much better in so many aspects. There's just, it's, you know, some of us getting nitpicky about some of the stuff that we feel should be in there already, and it's not. That's kind of where we're kind of just doing constructive criticism. We're not like, you know, grab the pitchforks and the torches and, you know, kick in their doors type of thing, but we're saying, hey, you guys are on the right track, but hey, these are some things that you guys might need to look at to add or fix or things like that. That's kind of where I'm, if anybody sees this and kind of gets spread around, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I'm not like, hey, you guys did this wrong, and whatnot else. You guys are on the right track, and anybody who's watching this video wants to get the sim, I still highly recommend it. It's going to take a little while for everybody to work the bugs out and get stuff where stuff needs to be, hopefully. So that's kind of where we are with Microsoft 2024. And in terms of the P3D development, I'm still going to be doing P3D development until this whole situation with file access gets worked out with the SOBO. Right now I'm working on the OV-10 Bronco, the D and G model variants, the military versions. That's just kind of an interim project for right now. I'm not doing any air tanker related stuff for a little bit. I'm giving myself more time to get used to this sim, and if anything comes down the road that I might need to get used to or look at the SDK or any type of model modifications, things like that for the sim. That's kind of what I want to focus that extra time on by not having a bunch of other model conversions on my plate. So that's kind of it for this, and thanks for watching, and tune to the next one.